welcome to this update video. I hope you're doing amazing this weekend, and we'll be looking at what is going on across the North Atlantic. So we can see that there is some severe weather moving through parts of the southeastern states, and across the Caribbean, though, we're not seeing much really happening. It's been rather dry and quiet. It's a beautiful morning. However, the heat has been heating, we can say, because it's been so hot in many of the various islands. However, later this week is going to be a little bit of a contrast to what we're seeing now, because we could see quite the increase in moisture, especially heading to the middle of the week, and that will up the rainfall chance for many areas. So I'm going to talk about that. And then looking out in the main development region, a bit of convection around here and there, but the dust has been moving in. That next plume, which I talked about in previous videos, it is moving in. It is blanketing the eastern islands, and early next week it is going to reach the greater Antilles, so areas such as Jamaica, even Cuba, Haiti. As we head through the early to mid part of the next week, we are going to see that we're going to experience that dust making its way through. So it's going to get hazy, and in dense quantities it is going to result in skin and eye irritation, especially if you're outside for very long periods. And I mean, with the heat, that is an absolute nuisance. But let's get into the forecast. As we take a look at the rainfall activity expected today by Euro, we can see it's not all that colorful across the Caribbean. Much of the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, most of the Florida Peninsula, Cuba, heading over to parts of Mexico, Belize, the Keys, the Bay Islands off Honduras, parts of Honduras as well, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands. It is going to be a pretty dry and sunny day today. But the little advantage offshore northern Central America and the Caribbean is the fact that it is windy in the area. So the wind, it kind of helps out with the heat. But if it is very still and those winds aren't blowing, it's mostly on the tranquil side, it's a perfect day to go cool off at the beach. But I mean, if we're just, at home, and especially without any air conditioning system, it is no joke for sure. And then as we head to parts of Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, through the Lesser Antilles down to Trinidad, Tobago, there could definitely be some showers today. Hopefully, that will be the case for many islands, because again, it has been so hot. So having even that brief relief in the heat would be beneficial for sure. Few showers possible for the ABC Islands as well. Maybe you somewhere or a couple places in Jamaica may receive some showers today, but nothing very substantial is anticipated. Down to northern South America, Venezuela, Colombia, the Guyanas, it's going to be active as usual. Same thing for most of Central America, especially going towards the Pacific coast. And there are also those two disturbances still over there and struggling at that. So as we look at those at the satellite imagery here, we can see those two areas both given pretty low chances to materialize into anything over the course of the next 7 days, but I'll keep you posted on that. And so now we're heading on to that potential system, that airflow pressure, which may really increase the rainfall chance for parts of the Caribbean as we're going to be heading into the new week. So let's take a look at that. We want to look at what a couple of models have to show. First up, we have the Euro. This is for the middle of the coming week, Wednesday, the 22nd of May. Take a look at this. We're seeing all these green shadings around, which indicate the moisture. So there could definitely be some showers in parts of Jamaica, Cuba, going to the Cayman Islands, parts of the Bahamas, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands as well. The GFS model is showing much of the rain in to the south of Haiti and the Dominican Republic, and that area of low pressure forming. So that is pretty interesting, and the model eventually has something trying to get itself together once it moves out to the northeast. The Icon model is also showing that surge in moisture in parts of the Caribbean. So again, this is expected. I have been watching the models for some time, and they have been pretty consistent about this increase in rain. Now we're going to be looking at what they have to show in terms of the rainfall total over the course of the next 5 or so days. We're kickstarting with Euro, and the more colorful the map becomes, more rain is expected. So the bulk of the rain that we're seeing being forecast over the course of the next 5 days is due to that system that is expected headed towards the middle of the week. So we're seeing these purple and pink shadings popping up. Rainfall amounts probably exceeding 4 inches, but we're seeing that most of that is going to be offshore. Could be very close to Jamaica, to the point where some significant rainfall occurs in parts of the island. And elsewhere, we're seeing that it is also colorful with those red and burgundy shadings, maybe up to 2 inches of rain or so. And of course, northern South America is going to be active throughout. It has been active. That's typically what's to expect. As we head on to the GFS though, GFS shows this a bit further to the east, south of Hispaniola. So it is also showing that rainfall increase, but shows that most of that is going to be much further away from Jamaica and closer to Hispaniola. Then we've got the icon model, the German model. This one is also showing that something a bit similar to Euro, where we could see quite a bit of rainfall in parts of Jamaica and even for Hispaniola as well, especially for the southern part of the Dominican Republic. So it's definitely something we want to watch for this week. It seems likely, but it all depends on where the bulk of the moisture is. That is really going to be the determinant of any significant rainfall in many areas are in need. No doubt about that. Now we want to head on to the different factors. I mean, the hurricane season commences in around 2 weeks or less. So let's take a look at the sea surface temperatures for the Western Atlantic. In the Pacific, 31 degrees Celsius we're seeing offshore. Parts of southern Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, very warm, very supportive of development. But those two disturbances I mentioned earlier, they're fighting. It's not always about the very warm waters, but what about what's going on up in the atmosphere? Is it very dry? Because a very stable atmosphere is not going to allow for a lot of development. It is that rise in air motion, that instability that really gets those thunderstorms going. So if conditions aren't so favorable further up into the atmosphere, we're not going to see too much become of those. So I will keep my eye on them. And as I said, I'm going to be keeping you guys posted. But as we take a look at the Caribbean, also very warm, 29, 30 degrees Celsius in some spots. The Gulf of Mexico is well on its way. Compared to a month ago, it is very warm right now. Also within the vicinity of the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos Islands, it's getting warm there as well. And this hurricane season, I'm expecting a lot of activity within the Western Atlantic. Just offshore the Caribbean in the east or just north of the region and also in the Gulf, I'm expecting this general area to be pretty active. And temperatures are generally above average as well. So as we look at the anomaly map here, the anomaly is basically showing how much the temperature is varying from what is typical. So the orange going to the red shadings we're seeing, they indicate above average or warmer than normal temperatures. So we're seeing that for most of the Caribbean, most of the Gulf of Mexico as well, and to a greater extent the North Atlantic, temperatures are in fact warmer than normal. So this is going to be fuel to the fire. It's definitely going to help to boost development, especially in those areas where there's a lot of deep, warm water. So that energy is just coming up, feeding whatever is trying to form. As I said, there are other factors that help to determine what will happen in the atmosphere. Now we want to look at the dust because the dust is a nuisance. So I mentioned it earlier. Let's take a look at the forecast. There we have that plume to move across the islands as we head into this week. As I said, it's going to arrive to the Greater Antilles for areas such as Jamaica, Hispaniola, as we head into late Sunday, late tomorrow, going into Monday, Tuesday, even loitering around on Wednesday. And by that time, we're going to be seeing that system trying to form or materialize, maybe in the central, going to the east Caribbean, somewhere within this area here. So I'll definitely be watching for that. Again, models are consistent about it, and it could be a well-needed rainmaker for the region. So I'll continue to keep you guys posted as we head throughout the coming week. And that is it for right now. So I really do hope you found this video to be very informative. But if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll respond when I get the chance to do so. And remember to always be weatherwise.